Today we're going to look at this man, Pure Audits. Well, he does also have a name.
You're a strange person until you tell me your name.
Oh, well, my name's Mr. Lyck. That's my surname, L-I-C-K.
That's right, they call him Mr. Lyck. That's L-Y-C-K, not L-I-C-K. Well, I have to introduce some excitement into these videos or I'll get complaints. And anyway, if you're going to be a secret agent, Mr. Lyck, then you need to be the grey man, inconspicuous. The dark glasses are a start, but a mask would have been helpful. It's debatable, actually, whether it's worth covering this auditor because his methods are just an imitation of others, mainly DJ audits. He does add his own twist here and there, which is that he pretends to be a simpleton sometimes. Another device he uses is that he pretends that he's been sent by a company to film the premises. He obviously thinks he's being clever. In this video, he visits the premises of a company in Salisbury called CI Precision, some sort of manufacturing support company. You can see he's on the public highway. He then proceeds to walk onto the premises and head for the reception. He films the entire encounter, which in my view means he's trespassing as there cannot be an implied permission to film it for social media, and no purpose is served in him doing so.
I'll just let them know we're here. I just want to let you know, I'm just doing a video on the company out here today. Just doing a video. Sorry?
What for?
A video on the company.
Oh, are you?
So yeah, it's a bit of drone footage, zoom camera. I'll be here for a few hours.
Are you coming in?
If you let me.
What is your name?
Oh no, I'm just public. I'm just a member of the public.
That's lie number one, and it's the lie that virtually all auditors will use at some point, some more than others. You are not a member of the public. You have a monetized YouTube channel and you're not just stopping by out of curiosity or to make a social call.
I just come along, take a video of the company.
Is that allowed?
What?
Could you remove your glasses, please?
Oh no, it's too sunny out there.
Okay, bye-bye. No, I don't want you to video our company.
Oh, are you the manager, are you?
Yes.
Oh no, I'm only out there. I'm not coming in. I'm just going to be down there with my zoom car. I've got a drone.
To what
drone.
end?
Sorry?
To what
It's
end?
social media. I can put it on YouTube.
But for what? Are
Entertainment.
you going to market our company?
I can do while I'm there. I'm free. I'm free.
What is your name?
Oh no, I'm just a member of the public. But I'll do my video. I'll keep out your way.
He's on private premises. She can ask him to leave and that's what she should do.
I'll keep out your way and I'll be out there. Fair enough?
No.
I'll only be a few hours.
A few hours? Does it really take that long?
I won't come in. I just thought I'd knock on your door and let you know where I am so you don't see a strange person.
Well, you are a strange person until you tell me your name.
Oh, well, my name's Mr. Lyck. That's my surname, L-I-C-K.
There you go. Mr. Lyck is the name.
You've got my name. So I'm going to be out there. It's an interesting company, isn't it? I went on the website.
Yeah.
But you get a feel if you come to the site.
Tell me what we do.
Well, there's so many industries that you help out. You know, whether it's
Tell me
the farmer.
Yes.
Yeah, there's industrial. I've got the website up. I had the website up. It tells me all about it, and it's like you know, everything, but a different aspect to it. I don't understand
Mr.
it.
Lyck, you're right.
Yeah.
You are right. It's so different.
Yeah.
But you're not making sense.
Oh,
and
right.
At this stage, you are now trespassing because I do not want you to film.
Oh, that's
and I'm
all right.
going to ask you to leave.
Oh yeah, I'll be out
and
there.
if I do see you videoing,
Yeah.
I am going to call the police.
Not what, from out there?
Correct.
She's well within her rights to threaten that. Whether he would be committing offences by filming from the public highway with a camera or surveillance drone will depend on how he goes about the filming.
No, I've just got my zoom camera
Doesn't matter.
and my drone.
Mr. Lyck, I've made myself clear.
Yeah, okay.
I will be calling the police.
All right.
I like the way she's handling this.
I'm going to remove myself to the
You do that,
footpath.
but you're still taking photos of our personal property.
No one's going to know. It's just between me and you.
Yeah.
Well, she's very clear that She said you are now trespassing, so we did the right thing and got off the premises.
Good.
I'm not sure whether this yard belongs to them or the company next door, Thrifty. I don't know.
Makes no difference. You have permission from neither CI Precision nor Thrifty to be filming on their premises, and you have no implied permission to do so. He then proceeds to film the outside of CI Precision for some reason. It's actually pretty boring. Moving on to a different video and a different visit by Pure Audits somewhere else, here's what he tells a lady at Builders, Taylor Wimpey.
Does somebody know you're coming?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Who did you arrange it all with?
Well, no, I got an email.
From who?
Well, the email, yeah. No, I think it's genuine, because I wouldn't have prepared and come down here. And I'm not going to come into the building. I mean, unless you invite me in, but I'm not going to.
I'm sort of understanding is why.
Yeah.
Why
Who are you then?
Why would you have been given? So what do you do? What do you do? What's your job? So let's understand who could have possibly sent you that instruction.
Well, this is it. What I do, I go round and I take video footage of places that people ask me to do.
Right.
If that were the case and you'd been asked by someone to go there, you would either say who that was or explain that you can't disclose it. You could instead explain truthfully why you're there. I've watched a number of his videos now, and I've never seen Pure Audits actually admit that he has a YouTube channel and give the name of the channel. If he's so polite and if what he's doing is above board, why wouldn't he give all the details so that people can see themselves on YouTube?
But we don't know who's asked you to take that footage.
Yeah, it's not my problem, is it?
Well, it is your problem because it is because currently here we have no evidence that you've been asked by somebody from Taylor Wimpey to take footage of this office, these cars. You haven't presented yourself at reception here to say that you're coming to do a job. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to ask you to leave.
Oh no, I've only come in because you called me over. I'm on the road there.
I need you to stop taking recordings then of the offices here.
You got that? The conversation goes on and they go round in circles. The legal position is that first, he does not have permission to film on Taylor Wimpey premises, so I regard his continued filming as a trespass. At the moment, I think it's a simple trespass, therefore a civil matter. In principle, he can film from the public highway using both his camera and surveillance drone, and unless he's filming intrusively or harassing them, there's little that Taylor Wimpey can do about the camera in those circumstances. But he has received an objection from Taylor Wimpey to the drone, and he should take that into account when assessing the suitability and legality of a drone flight over the premises. Let me explain why. Currently, there is no specific requirement, in so many words, that a drone flyer in the open category should conduct a risk assessment. In what I'm about to explain, bear in mind that drone regulations in the UK are currently in flux, so by the time you see this, the position may have changed. To understand current drone regulations in the UK as at July 2025, we have to start at Article 22 of the UK Implementing Regulation, which states that anyone flying in the open category will not be subject to the full drone regulations as contained in Part A of the Annex to the regulation. However, Article 241 of the Air Navigation Order 2016 states, "A person must not recklessly or negligently cause or permit an aircraft to endanger any person or property." Although that requirement is contained within the general aircraft provisions of the order, it does apply to drones, as is confirmed by Article 23 of the 2016 order. I think given this, it is incumbent on Pure Audits to ask the reasons why the occupier is reluctant to allow him to fly over. Another relevant aspect of the law is aerial trespass. Since the case of Bernstein and Skyviews and General Limited, landowners are said to control only so much airspace as is necessary for the ordinary use and enjoyment of their land and the structures upon it. Above that, the airspace is controlled by the Civil Aviation Authority and other bodies. It follows from this that any flight by a drone that interferes in the normal everyday use of the premises would be an aerial trespass. Given an objection has been raised, If Pure Audits proceeds with his drone flight and interferes with site activity, on that basis it could be both a simple trespass and an aggravated trespass, an offence contrary to Section 68 of the Criminal Justice and Public Order Act 1994. Also of help to us is Section 76 of the Civil Aviation Act 1982, which states this: "No action shall lie in respect of trespass or in respect of nuisance by reason only of the flight of an aircraft over any property at a height above the ground which, having regard to wind, weather and all the circumstances of the case, is reasonable, or the ordinary instance of such flight, so long as the provisions of any air navigation order have been complied with."
Hello.
Let me introduce you to John Curtin, a prominent individual in the animal liberation movement.
And it's a shame to see how vivisection has slid down our sphere of attention. The animal liberation movement was begun on the horrors of vivisection, but we've let it slide. Isn't it brilliant? Like I said, now we can go to the supermarket and I can complain about there not being a vegan pizza. And some people used to argue, look, we need to tackle factory farming because that's where the hundreds of millions are. But we mustn't lose sight of the horrors of vivisection, because there's something nasty, particularly nasty and cruel about vivisection.
Let me also introduce Marshall Bioresources, a company that breeds animals for medical and clinical research at sites in Cambridgeshire and Hull. From 2021 to 2023, their site became a focal point for animal rights protests, and John Curtin was a frequent protester. Marshall Bioresources brought an action against him for trespass, alleging that Mr. Curtin trespassed on the land, obstructed vehicles and used drones to film the premises. Mr. Curtin defended the claim, and this became the case of MBR Acres Limited and Curtin, heard in the High Court. MBR Acres Limited, or Marshall, sought injunctions against Curtin and persons unknown, restraining trespass, obstruction and drone overflights below 100 metres. The claim was pleaded in trespass, nuisance and under Section 1(1)(a) of the Protection from Harassment Act 1997, which makes it an offence or civil wrong to harass on even just one occasion where the harassment is intended to persuade any person not to do something that he is entitled or required to do, or to do something that he is not under any obligation to do. That provision was intended by Parliament to be used by companies against protesters in just this kind of situation. The judge in this case, the Honourable Mr Justice Nicklin, reaffirmed the rule established in Bernstein and Skyviews and General Limited, and on that basis he rejected the claim for aerial trespass, because the claimants were unable to provide any evidence that Mr Curtin had interfered in their activities simply by flying a drone over their site. The nuisance and harassment claims also failed for lack of any evidence that Mr Curtin had acted in an intimidatory manner. Mr Justice Nicklin explicitly incorporated the relevant provisions of the Human Rights Act in his judgment, stating, "It would be a serious interference with freedom of expression and assembly if those wishing to protest and express strongly held views could be silenced by actual or threatened proceedings for harassment based on subjective claims that they were caused distress or alarm." On the face of it, that judgment is good news for the rest of us because it upholds the rights of people who wish to investigate and protest against businesses, companies and organisations that may be up to no good or otherwise engaged in questionable activities. But I think Mr Curtin was lucky. Marshall's lawyers, for whatever reason, pleaded the case on the wrong basis. The judge suggested that they should have perhaps pleaded on the basis of data protection or privacy, and may have succeeded in obtaining an injunction had they done so, though it would depend on the evidence available and exactly what Curtin captured in his footage from the drone and on the ground. This brings me to one of the things that makes me angry with auditors and worried about their activities. They are abusing our photography rights, and they are doing it on far less sympathetic and legitimate reasons than animal rights protesters. It's hard to see how they could gain the sympathy or acceptance of the court in comparable circumstances to those faced by Mr Curtin, especially given that they tell lies and they are never upfront about what they're doing and often do encourage and incite their viewers to harass businesses and even individual workers. And all it will require is the right case with the right facts and the right evidence, and the consequences could be serious and long-lasting for our civil liberties and for fields such as photography and journalism, as well as political protest, including animal rights protests. And I will tell you that there are some pretty unscrupulous people within both business and politics who would like to gag and silence journalists and protesters on all sorts of issues. The antics of people like Pure Audits may seem amusing and entertaining, but apart from the bullying and humiliation of innocent people who are just going about their work and find a strange man filming on site, these activities are also further jeopardising the rights of real investigative journalists, and protesters too. There are real problems in the world: injustice, corruption, abuse of authority by the police and others. Auditors are not addressing these problems. If anything, they're making it harder to address and investigate these problems because they're targeting ordinary businesses and workers who have done no wrong or no significant wrong and don't deserve to be targeted in that way. And there is already discussion about further restricting public photography rights due to the activities of auditors. Before we return to the footage, I want to draw your attention to another judgment from the High Court, fairly recent. It was 2023. This was the case of Anglo International Upholland Limited and Wainwright. The case concerned urban explorers trespassing on an abandoned seminary building that was in a dilapidated and unsafe state. The claimant sought an interim injunction against Mr. Wainwright and persons unknown for, amongst other things, the prohibition of drone trespass over Anglo's site. The claimant's case was that the drones were being used to identify entrances individuals could use to trespass on the site. The court drew attention to Section 76 of the Civil Aviation Act 1982, which I mentioned earlier. Just a reminder that Section 76 provides that no action shall lie in respect of trespass by reason only of the flight of an aircraft over any property at a height above the ground which, having regard to wind, weather and all the circumstances of the case, is reasonable. Since a drone was within the scope of a definition of an aircraft, Section 76 of the Civil Aviation Act applied. Therefore, the act of flying a drone at a reasonable height over the Anglo site could not constitute trespass. However, the court considered that the only reason to fly drones over the Anglo site was to facilitate and encourage trespass through recording footage, which could potentially endanger life. Alternatively, since drones were being flown low enough to provide clear recordings of the site, the height at which the drone was being flown could not be considered reasonable under Section 76. Accordingly, the court was not prevented from finding trespass by that section, and the injunction was an appropriate and proportionate remedy. The judgment highlighted the unsafe condition of the building and the risks posed to trespassers, which were crucial in the court's decision to grant the injunction. The two cases, the Marshall case involving John Curtin that we looked at earlier, and this case involving Anglo International, demonstrate differing approaches that may be taken to the use of drones over private property, depending on the facts involved. The Anglo case did not involve questions of human rights, such as the right to protest, and there was a reasonable concern regarding physical safety and property damage, which persuaded the court to rule accordingly. The two decisions differ on a number of points. In Anglo International, the court justified the order based on the drone's purpose of facilitating trespass. In contrast, in Marshall, the court applied the Bernstein judgment, which focuses on the fact of flying the drone and whether this infringed the airspace necessary for reasonable enjoyment of the property. As we've discussed, the claimants were criticised in Marshall for using a claim for trespass to try to prevent recording over the site, suggesting that the purpose of the trespass on these facts by the drone was irrelevant, particularly as a drone could have taken footage from a great height or from neighbouring airspace or from ground height around the curtilage of the land. In Anglo International, the court deemed the drone's flight height unreasonable under Section 76 of the Civil Aviation Act 1982 because it was low enough to record clear footage of Anglo's site. Conversely, in Marshall, the court focused on whether the flight was within airspace the landowner could reasonably use, according to the rule in Bernstein. How do we apply all this to auditors? The problem is that, as far as I'm aware, the court has yet to hear a trespass argument involving a drone flying low enough to record clear footage of a property, but high enough to be outside the airspace necessary for the landowner's reasonable use of the property, which is a typical scenario involving auditors like Mr. Lyck. But I suspect the court's view would not be favourable to the auditor, for the reasons I have already outlined, and also for an additional reason I will explain in a moment. As already explained, people who go around intentionally trespassing and disrespecting others tend not to have the sympathy of the court, especially when it is the whole reason for their activities. The additional reason I've thought of is that it's clear that auditing does involve harassment in the majority of cases, even if the completion of the course of conduct forming harassment is simply uploading the video to YouTube. That being the case, if we follow the reasoning in the Anglo International case, we can see that auditing, by obtaining clear recordings of a site from above using a drone, does facilitate harassment of either the business, if it's a company, or other incorporated organisation, or of individuals who work there. That being the case, it seems to me quite likely that the Anglo International judgment points away towards drone auditing being a type of trespass as well as harassment. However, this approach would require that any claimant in a trespass case against auditors, or indeed a harassment case, would need to ensure that the court's focus is on the purpose of the flight rather than the act of flying the drone. In other words, the court must take an approach more similar to that in Anglo International than the Marshall case, to maximise the chance of an injunction against the auditor on the basis of trespass, be it a specific named auditor or unknown persons who might conduct audits. Otherwise, a claimant should pursue a claim for privacy breaches, but of course both heads of claim could be pursued in the same case. Now let's go back to Pure Audits.
Ah, right,
so
yeah.
What's your name, please?
Yeah. Mr. Lyck. L-Y-C-K.
L-Y-C-K.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to be out there on the road.
No. There will be you won't be flying drones above here.
Oh no, I'm only going to be out in the public area.
That's fine.
And it's coming over. The drone goes over the roof.
No. We will not be having the site videoed by a drone.
Why not? You think you'd be excited by it?
No.
I mean, it's exciting for me to come here. I've come all the way to do it.
Do their building then.
Who?
Well, that building.
What building?
Not this building.
No, I was asked to come in here.
Yeah, but who by?
Taylor Wimpey.
That's clearly another lie. I should also mention that although the auditor has added blurring of this lady's face in his own video, which is a rare thing for auditors to do, as is typical of an auditor, the blurring is automated and does not cover her face the whole time, so she is visible at points in Pure Audits video. To be on the safe side, I've just added my own blurring.
But you can't tell me who you've been asked to
Well,
come
I did
here.
at the time, because at the time I received the email, I obviously looked it up and came down here, didn't I?
Yeah, but I'm trying to establish who has asked you to take drone and video footage, ultimately, of these cars in this car park, this building. And
well, I'm not taking off the cars, but
you've just gone like that.
Yeah, but that was actually getting the canopy and the roof, and you've got the sort of cladding, the fascia there, with the brickwork.
Our predicament that we have some gentlemen arrive on our site. You're videoing the cars or what seems to be the cars, the building and everything else, but you can't tell me who has asked you from Taylor Wimpey to come and do that.
That's because nobody from Taylor Wimpey has asked him to do this. He's just lying. I'm sure this lady isn't stupid and she realises this herself.
No, but I have assured you that I'm not videoing the cars, but even if I was, I've got a friend called Reg and he collects number plates, but that's by and by.
But it is, but I think you missed the point. The point is that you can't tell me who has instructed you to come onto this site.
But I don't need to, because I'm out there.
It doesn't matter, but you are videoing. Lisa, have we had any request internally for videoing the cars, the building, and going over with a drone. So this no. So this gentleman's just been videoing the cars and the thing, and I've asked him who has instructed you to do that, and he can't tell me who's instructed him to come and take video and footage. So
I've tried to explain while I'm here.
Yeah, but you can't tell me who's instructed you to do that.
Look, can I just clarify with you both here? What I'm here, I'm outside, and I've been asked to do some video footage and some drone footage on this lovely building.
But by who?
And what I do a narrative, and I say, look, I'm at Taylor Wimpey. Look at this beautiful building. If it is, if there's any issues with it, and then I can put it all together. It's really exciting.
But that may well be the case. But you have not been asked or instructed by a member here to come and do that.
Well, I received an email.
Yeah, but you can't tell me who that email's from. If you said it's numbers and everything.
If you would prefer me not to take the drone footage and supply me with a ladder,
no,
I can, it'll have to be a big ladder, like an
No.
Up a fire escape ladder, or get me out onto the roof. I can do it.
What I think we don't want
without a drone.
We don't want you videoing the cars and the car park. We don't want you videoing the building. We don't want you flying over the building. We don't want you ultimately taking any kind of footage of this facility that is privately owned.
That's all reasonable as long as he is still on their private land. As I mentioned earlier, the position changes if he goes back to the public highway. Just for information, the Taylor Wimpey offices are on Academy Drive, which is shown here, and Find My Street confirms that it is a publicly maintained road.
Yeah, it's not a leasehold, it's privately owned by Taylor Wimpey.
Well, even if it were leasehold and Taylor Wimpey were renting it from a commercial landlord, they would have the same rights in regard to trespass, nuisance and harassment and so on as any freeholder. It will be the same position, so that detail is unnecessary.
And thus, we, as employees of Taylor Wimpey, are asking you to leave the property and please do not take any further footage of
Okay, there's a lot of points there you brought up. One, I'm not on the, well, I wasn't on the property. I only came over because you asked me to come over.
Just remember, freehold property goes all the way up. It goes all the way up.
How far?
Well, it goes up to the atmosphere where the planes are. So
no, it doesn't.
Right, so now we know why she was talking about freehold. Auditors and their fans are ridiculing this lady, but what she has just said is not stupid or crazy at all. The common law did once say that a landowner held the land up to the sky, as she says. The Latin maxim was cuius est solum, eius est usque ad caelum et ad inferos. He who owns a soil owns it to the heavens and to the depths. But that principle was overturned by the judgment in Bernstein and Skyviews and General Limited, which I mentioned earlier, a 1977 case, so that an aerial trespass occurs when a drone user interferes with the lawful use of the premises, which is the effect of that judgment on drones, as well as other aircraft. So this lady isn't being stupid or anything, but she is out of date on the precise law involved. It's not her fault, really. I assume she's not a lawyer, and she's just trying her best when faced with a weirdo, basically. It's very unfair on her and shouldn't be happening.
But anyway, let me educate you on that. I'm not here to look at cars, number plates. I mean, the DVLA own the number plates anyway, but that's not an issue. I'm not here to do number plates. I'm here to take a video and some drone footage of the wonderful building that you guys work in. And I thought you'd be excited after you've come out to see me.
Well, who's asked you to do that?
Well, someone emailed me.
Who, from where?
Well, on an email.
Yeah, from who? From where?
Well,
company?
The person who emailed, normally I could say, look, it's john.smith@gmail.com, but the person who emailed me It was an amalgamation of letters, numbers and commas and
Well, that's no one from
oblique,
here, then.
oblique strokes.
That's no one
No.
from this business unit, no one from this company, so I don't think you should carry on whatever you're doing.
Oh no, I'm not justifying why I'm here because of the email hasn't come from Taylor Wimpey.
Well, it clearly hasn't.
No, it hasn't. I understand that. But I'm out there doing what I'm allowed to do, and a bit of drone footage and a bit of videography,
Actually,
that's all.
if the owner of a company or a building asks you specifically, which I'm doing now, not to take video footage of this area, I am legally allowed to do that. You unfortunately have to take that as that's what it is.
She is right about that. As an employee, she is authorised for this purpose on behalf of Taylor Wimpey. As I've already said, the position would change if he goes back to the highway and films or flies his drone from there. I'm not saying it would always be okay in law to film from the public highway, but the balance of rights does swing more in his favour at that point because he has an inherent right to do so, and it becomes more of a question of whether he is harassing the company or any of its staff or committing a nuisance or an aerial trespass or some breach of data protection or privacy thereby. All of those issues have been covered on this channel in the past, and most of them in some depth.
In a public area, don't
No, but you're taking footage of these cars in this car park,
from out there.
It's irrelevant.
No, it's not.
It's
It is relevant.
It's irrelevant.
Go on.
Well, she may be right because, as I've just explained, his rights even from the public highway are subject to some caveats and conditions, which he obviously isn't aware of or just chooses to disregard.
Go on.
We are finding the presence of you here worrying, to be frank.
Well, what I'll do, now you've said that, I'm going to leave the premises. I only came over to talk so you could hear me. I'm going to go back on the public footpath and I'm going to take my drone footage and my videography from there and do my video innovation.
So let me just...
Okay? I'm going to... Well, if you need me, come out and see me because you've just told me that. I'm going to be away. You can come out and see me because you're putting me in a position now.
He has done the right thing there, though really the right thing would have been not to bother these people in the first place, or if he wanted to warn them that he would be flying his drone over their premises that day, he could have rung or emailed or walked to reception. He didn't need to create a load of drama by filming in the car park.
Well, you're putting me in a position where... Well, I'm going to be out here. I'm going to go over there and I'm going to do my drone footage of the building. Okay, and remember that it's not of you, it's not of the... I'm not intending to photograph...
In doing that footage, you will be taking photos of these cars.
He could offer reassurance and say to her that he has no interest in the cars and any footage of individuals, including those ladies, will not be broadcast. He just wants to fly his drone over the building and that's it, so they needn't worry. Of course, he won't say anything like that because he has no interest in the building. His interest is in engineering a confrontation and drama.
So I'm telling
There's no problem.
whoever in there does not want a photo of their car on any kind of social media or
Right.
in your computer.
Well, I'm out here taking it from the public footpath. I'm allowed.
You are taking it of private property.
I'm allowed.
As a general principle, he is at liberty to film anything he can see from the highway. There are some exceptions to this, but they don't apply here. This is just an ordinary commercial building. It's not a prohibited site. But what we need to add is that in exercising his liberty to film, if he harasses others, causes alarm or acts in a way likely to cause harassment, alarm or distress, then he may face civil or criminal liability. He also can't trespass on the premises, which he has already done, or trespass above the premises with his drone. I've mentioned already that although he can fly his drone over the premises from the public highway, he has to make sure that he's not interfering in lawful activity on the premises. And of course, the question is open currently as to whether by capturing a clear recording of the premises while flying over with a drone, he is in fact trespassing on that basis anyway, when you consider the situation as a whole, including his evident harassment of these people and the company by posting this footage on YouTube. If he breaches data protection or the privacy of anyone, he may also face civil liability to those individuals or the company itself, or regulatory liability under obligations enforceable by the ICO. Now let's remember that Mr. Lyck is not John Curtin. John Curtin is a protester who has certain rights protected by the Human Rights Act, including the right to free expression protected by Article 10 and the right to free assembly protected by Article 11. Mr. Lyck has the same rights, of course, please understand I'm not suggesting otherwise. But it is difficult to see how he can call on those rights to protect himself here. What is the purpose of this exercise? Is there a public interest in this? Is this journalism? Nobody is suggesting that Mr. Lyck can't go around filming people. That's his liberty to do so, and rightly so. But this liberty does not extend to causing people alarm by turning up and filming ordinary staff in the car park of an ordinary office of an ordinary company that he otherwise has no business with. Is Taylor Wimpey involved in some sort of scandal? Is this lady at the crucible of some sort of wrongdoing? Is she involved in some way with the big man in Huddersfield?
No, mate. She won't talk to me. Got a collar number. She could not print my ticket out quick enough.
Yep, that's the big man. Maybe she's got mixed up with him and the heavy boys. Perhaps Mr. Lyck is just scouting the place out at this stage before he launches into his investigation of goings-on at Taylor Wimpey in Warwick. Mr. Lyck may try to argue that he's testing Taylor Wimpey's understanding of public photography rights, but why should that be something of public interest? And even if it is, why is it necessary to broadcast people's faces or prolong the argument in the car park? If you want to test their understanding of public photography rights, you can do that by email, or in a phone call, or a letter sent by post, or maybe a fax. Or you can walk into reception and ask and, depending on the answer, tell your viewers whether Taylor Wimpey have passed or failed. Better still, just turn up and photograph the building and see if anybody challenges you, and if they do, tell them what you're doing and see what they say. The problem with these ideas is that they don't make for good viewing. There's nothing wrong, of course, with wanting to make content that is exciting and watchable, but when you do it in a way that seems designed and intended, even depends on rubbing people up the wrong way, even harassing them, you can expect some pushback and maybe even legal action from the people that you've upset and harmed.